Hello YouTube. Alright, well it's time to replace the transmission fluid, and I'm going to go ahead and replace the strainer on it, also known as a transmission filter. To do so, this part number does not come with the O-ring, so you need that part number right there at 35330 530, and you also need 90301 31014, and then you need two of these little gaskets crush washers, 35 178 310, and also this is the gasket that goes around the pan, okay, 35 168 510, and you need 6 quarts of transmission fluid, world standard. I also have some more just in case, but normally with 6 some of it drains out. So anyway, I'm going to explain the procedure a little bit later on, but anyway, these are the parts you need to start now with. Okie dokie, so now we're under the car, and that's gonna be the pan right there. That's gonna be the transmission pan. So those are the bolts you're gonna be removing. That's your 14 millimeter, that's your drain, and that is to make sure the level's right. I already unloosened them a little bit, that's why you see a little bit of fluid there. So 14 millimeter, and that's a 5 millimeter hex Allen key, and these are all 10 millimeters all the way around. So your first thing you do is you're going to remove the 14, drop the fluid. Don't worry about that guy for now, he can stay on there. And once all the fluid comes out, you're going to easily remove all the bolts, and then you're going to drop the pan. I use one of these guys because you know you make a mess sometimes, so that's what you're going to do there. And once you do all that, there's a bolt up on top. It's right over there. That bolt you see there is a bigger one. That's the one that you're going to be removing to add the fluid back in. So, but that'll be a little bit later. All right. See you right back. Alrighty, so once you have all the bolts removed, drain plugs, everything, you want to tilt the transpan towards the rear because you're going to have a lot of fluid still left and all up in here. So even though it stops draining, this will save you from making a mess later on. So you see, you kind of gap it. I mean, you're still going to make a little mess, but this will save you from having like a half a quart of transmission fluid everywhere. So let it drain out, and then you're going to remove the pan down. Be right back. Alrighty, so once you have that pan down, that's how it look like. There'll be some magnets and stuff in there that you're going to have to clean up, and this whole pan will have to be cleaned up really well. And the gasket's still on it. And this is what we're looking at here. This is how the transmission looks like from the inside, guys. Okay. Now you're gonna have like what looks like rain coming down, which is all the transmission fluid, which is still be coming down a little bit. So I just pulled the pan down there and let the fluid fall little by little. But now we got to remove what's called the strainer, okay, or the transmission filter. There should be 4 bolts holding it in place, and then it's kind of stuck up onto an O-ring that is on top a little bit. But you remove your 4 bolts to hold in it, and then you drop it down, and then once you do that, you're going to see some more transmission fluid that is between the strainer and the top of it. There'll be a little bit more sitting right there, so don't be surprised if you get a little splash when you pop that off. But okay, so now we're going to do that, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so now we got the bolts removed from the strainer. All the bolts are all removed. Now we're going to pop the strainer down. It tends to be a little bit tight because there's a little gasket, a little O-ring that holds it. And then remember, there's going to be a little bit of fluid. There's the fluid. So I'm trying to give y'all a good expectation of what to expect when you take this off. So even if you are tidy. Even if you are very, very careful, just expect you're gonna get a little bit of a splash. That's just gonna happen. There's no way around that part of it right there. So you're careful, you make less mess, but you're still gonna make a little bit of a mess. At that point, you just drain out the fluid onto the pan. Alright guys, here's your strainer. And then if you look up, you'll still see that there's O-ring still there. Remove the old O-ring and replace it with the new one, which I showed you in the beginning of the video. Alright, we'll be right back. Alright guys, so old one, new one. Make sure they match, even though they should, but make sure they match before. And gotta put your O-ring on. So this is the new O-ring. Go ahead and put your O-ring on to the piece. It'll stop on the plastic wherever you see that right there. I'll leave it up a little bit, that way it can slide in really good. And then you're gonna go back in, put a little pressure. And it should just hold itself up a little bit. But that's so, and then just take out one little bolt first. Trusted Milwaukee. Tell I'm just snugging them up right now, and that'll help me get that gasket and the O-ring in the strainer right in this right location. Little love tap. Alright, so that is done now. Okay, so now we're done here. So now we gotta go and take this pan out and clean it up. So I'll be right back, guys. Okay, so here is the pan. I drained it out as best as I could. And there's 3 magnets that it has. One there, one there, one there, but they're not there right now. I got them laying in this Purple Power super clean mixture. And then you got to clean whatever debris on them, because all the little particles from when the car is new, it'll get stuck on there instead of flying around, and the rest of it gets stuck on the strainer. But they both do the job of holding some of the particles. So all this pan right here has to be completely clean. So I have some Purple Power on it, super clean, and just got to make sure it gets completely clean, nice. I mean, squishy clean, like you're gonna eat out of it. That's how I do it. You also got to look at your edge, make sure you don't have any fibbage, form in place gasket, how Toyota calls it, FIPG, on the corners. It is a gasket that you take off, but from the factory they do use a little bit in some areas. So you just run your fingers. So like I noticed a little bit right here that we still got to take off. So you take a little razor blade or your nail, you know, just make sure you clean your edges for the new gasket, which is still in that box. So yeah, just thoroughly clean it, and the magnets too, and put everything back, and I'll be right back. Okay. Okie dokie. So now once you have it squeegee clean, you know, you blew everything. I use a little bit of brake cleaner after. You know, wash it, hose it down, pressure wash it, clean it, then brake cleaner, and then make sure you get a nice clean rag, and you clean it up real good. So get all that stuff out of there. And then the magnets too. You want to clean the magnets really good. So all that's off from the magnets. And once you've done that, then you place your magnets back in the location that Toyota wanted them to be. Now she's ready. Take your gasket, put your gasket back on, and you can go ahead and put your pan on. And then you're done with that part of it. Alrighty, back under the car now. So you want to make sure this edge right here is nice and dry. So pass a rag through it before you put your pan back on. Okie dokie. Okay, so once you have it on, you go ahead and tighten all the bolts. I don't have the specs. I've done probably, I don't know, like this thing over 30 times. I never use a torque spec, but I say about 20 foot-pounds is what you want to use your I mean, the gasket's nice, and it's a nice, one of the best gaskets I've ever seen, double lip. So it's a really good one. But anyway, I use this guy right here until it kind of stops, click, and then just give it a little snug. So that's that. Go ahead and put your new crush gaskets on both of these. This one, you just put it on hand tight until it stops. Don't crush the gasket. This one, go ahead and tighten it up and crush the gasket, because you're not going to be touching this one anymore. That one you have to do it because that's a check valve. That's the one, the check plug. So you take that out to check, make sure the fluid's correct. Alrighty, so at this point now, you're going to start putting fluid in it. Yeah, there's the Figs transmission mount. Yep. Does make a lot of a little bit more transmission noises, but it was already on the car when I got it, so a lot of this stuff was already replaced recently. Okay, so there's your bolt you want to remove. Okay, so that's what you want to remove first. That's your next step. All right, be right back. Alright guys, so now it's time to put the fluid back in the pan. Pan is nice and tight, everything's done like I was showing y'all before. So now a couple things. You're going to be using a 24 millimeter, and this is what I use right here. Okay, so if it focuses on it, but it's 24 millimeters. I mean, it doesn't want to focus, but anyway. And basically this little guy, you don't have a lot of space to get to the bolt that you have to fill in. But there's your bolt when you look up right there. Okay, so you basically put your tool in, loosen it up, and take that bolt out, and that's where you're going to be filling it up. And go ahead and put in 6 quarts of oil. I wouldn't follow what it says to put only 5. Remember, any extra will mix in with the old oil, and then you'll be draining it out, so it's better for the car. So if you want to put 7, you can put 7 in there. 8, you want to put 8, and go ahead and put 8 in there. What's going to happen is it's going to mix up with the other oil. It's going to go through your transmission cooler and all that good stuff, and it's going to make your oil even better. Whenever you get the temperature, which is between 95 through 106, with the scanner, or you can use some kind of temperature reading right here, but you're gonna have to wait till it gets to like maybe 107 or 108. When you pull it out, all the excess will come out, and this will make sure that the oil is correct. It only will stay what you want it to be, but it'll be mixing in with the old, and more of it will come out, so more cleaner. This car has already had a drain and fill a few times. The oil came out pretty red, not too bad. Now it's gonna have a new filter and new oil in it, so I'm good with the 6 quarts. So here we go. But basically that's the world standard, and I use these guys. You can buy this at your AutoZone, at your Advanced Auto Parts, and basically you just stick it in there, and it's a little pump, so when you pump down, it shoots out, and then you put that in the hole up on top, and you fill it up. Go through 6 of them, and then you can start the car and do the warm-up procedure to make sure that it's correct. Alrighty, we'll be right back. Alright guys, so once you got all the fluid in it, you know, all 6 quarts, you know, just put the bolt back on and turn on the car. I run it through the gears a little bit. So, you know, I just go, I put it in drive, I put it in neutral, put it in reverse, drive, neutral, reverse, get a little bit of temperature on the transmission. In my case, I run I run the Altel, so it's the Maxi Check MX808, and basically it reads the transmission ECU, and it tells me my temperature there, right? You see 92, 66 voltage readings and that kind of stuff. So once it gets to 95, between 95 and 106, 106 is the cutoff, but once you get 95, 96, 97, you can take that plug down. So you know, it's connected to the car. So I bring this down here, and you know, that plug, the check plug. So at this point now, I'm gonna get under the car and get it ready to loosen up the plug. So once I see the temperature reaches where it needs to, 93.74, once it gets to like past 95, 96, 97, something like that, then I'll drop the plug. So be right back. Alrighty, so I'm under the car now, and there's your temperature, you know, automatic oil temperature sitting at 95. And so now what I can do is release this bolt right here, and that leftover fluid will come out, and then your temperature will be right. I'm sorry, your oil level will be right. So there you go. It's just stating 95. It should go up a little bit more than that. As soon as it does, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So here it is, 96.8. Alrighty, so now I'm in the clear. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of it and do it now. What you'll need is 5mm. This guy to do the job. Alright, we'll be right back. So if you can tell, there it is going. It's coming out. That's the extra fluid. And what I do is I don't wait for all of it to come out. Once it starts sputtering a little bit, at that point I plug it up, because these transmissions like to run about another extra 4 ounces more than the exact. So that's what I do. So once it starts sputtering, let it just sputter a little bit. It's still pumping, and that right there is how I do it. So right here, see, now it's getting down to a smaller stream, but it's still coming out. Okay, so I go ahead and plug it up. And all that was done within the range, 97.6, 98.24. If you had a if you had a laser, you'll only be at 88, 89. So you can tell that if you're using a laser pointer type thing, it's not gonna be reading exact. But guys, I warn y'all, if y'all gonna be using this stuff right here, this is not a good way to do it, because you can tell that I'm looking at 98, and over here it's sitting at 88, 90 now. So it's off. It's a good bit off. So I wouldn't use these at all. You're playing games at that point. You know, you're guessing. So, all right, be right back. Okay, guys. Well, that was the procedure. Everything is good. If I was ready to drive it now, I would just go ahead and drive it, and just expect beautiful, crisp shifts at that point. Guys, I've done this particular job many times on many ISFs. I personally have had 2 of them already, and I've done them on other cars, other ISFs. And like most of my cars are Toyotas, they're all use world standard. The procedure's the same. It's just you have to the temperature readings, the windows to actually take the drain, the check plug down are different. But if you follow that procedure, you know, you're good to go. If you're using one of these guys, you're guessing at that point. So you go up maybe 10 degrees more than what it says, but I wouldn't use it. These transmissions are very finicky about exactly how much oil and the level that it needs to have. So that's my suggestion. If you have any questions, please post, and I'll be more than happy to help you. And again, have a good one. Let me know if you want to see some other videos of this particular car. Obviously, I use a quick jack, and there's so much more I need to do to the car. So just wait for the next video, and I'll be doing some more things. All right, we'll see ya.